This is Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show. We want to thank Catherine Brown, D Tycoon, for giving us the opportunity to host her D Tycoon Show. This is Bill Morton, President of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, and I am Trudy Leong, Administrator of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce.
Now, every time we go through a season, we hit the season finale, where we take a little break and then we come back another season. So I just wanted to say that we really do appreciate all of our viewers on CAN TV and also on YouTube. Appreciate all of the CAN TV staff, everyone who's helped us out over all these years. And you know, I've been in CAN TV since maybe somewhere near the beginning. Somewhere near the beginning in different ways I've been doing things. And then we've been together on this show for how long?
Since about 2018.
Since 2018. And, you know, Catherine, the Reverend Dr. Catherine Brown D. Tycoon, started this show, and she passed the torch to us after we met during an election season. Mm-hmm. She ran for mayor, mm-hmm. I ran for alderman, and we didn't win, obviously, but we did win because we made friends and we got this show going.
Mm-hmm. We met and spoke with and discussed a lot of issues with our guests over the years, and we imparted a lot of important information to our viewers. For instance, recently, Bill and I served as election judges on election day last week, and then the voters came to us and said that they have to vote the judicial ballot. In previous years, when there's that judicial ballot and about 100 names on that side of the ballot, they say that I don't know those people. I'm not going to vote it. Again and again, in the previous years, we hear that they're not going to vote the judicial ballot. But this year, I think that maybe some of our work interviewing various judicial candidates, such as
Justice Cobbs,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Justice Cunningham, mm-hmm. Judge Cohen, mm-hmm. And asked them about about their background in the bar associations, in the training that judges and the lawyers have to undergo year after year, so that they are current on the affairs, and most important, on their background and the lives that they have changed. So now there is a face to these judicial candidates, and it evidently might have helped because our voters, we saw that predominantly voted the judicial ballot, and we heard that comment from the voter that I have to vote for the judges.
And we really appreciate informing, education, you know, all kinds of literacy, all kinds of different candidates, you know, community focused people that we have as our guests. And we have to thank them as well. We have to thank our guests over all these years, and this season in particular. A lot of judges, and this is the first year we've done a lot of judges. Mm-hmm. And I think this will be a long-standing tradition. It was really a great time.
It was a great learning experience for mm-hmm. Bill and I as well.
Yes, it certainly was. And, you know, I learned quite a bit interviewing the judges. Mm-hmm. I didn't know as much as I do now. And I really do appreciate all the feedback that we're getting online, and while we're all throughout the city of Chicago, and we're meeting with people who recognize us, and they say they like the show, and they got something from it. And I really also really feel good about when people say I got the job. I found my housing through these resources. Mm-hmm. I've gotten where I need to be. I've gotten out of a bad situation because one of your guests left their contact information at the end of your show, and they got the help they needed. So there's all kinds of good coming of this, and really appreciative of CAN TV.
And it's community unity now, so community unity is what we're all about.
And speaking of community, I have a YouTube channel, Bill Morton Chicago. It's not monetized or anything, but I feature all kinds of scenarios throughout the city, whether it's the various CTA trains, Metra, Pace, anything RTA, or the streets of the city of Chicago. A lot of police action out there. I call the sirens the theme song of the city sometimes because we hear them way too much.
That is true. But Bill, you took a video a couple of days ago, and you were at the right place at the right time on the train. And then there was this passenger. He was singing, "You are so beautiful to me," and you got it. And it's and you titled it perfectly. "You are beautiful." Right? Red line.
Yeah, you are so beautiful to me at Morse Station, and everyone knows that we're Rogers Parkers. We will never hide that. And so I was at Morse Station while this guy was singing, and I just happened to be recording with my tripod and my phone out the window as the train was just coming out of Morse Station, and this guy saying, "You are so beautiful to me," and it was a beautiful thing, and I could have never planned it. And I don't think he was doing this because he saw me recording. I think he was just singing.
Yeah, he wanted to sing that song. And speaking of that video, is not on Bill Morton Chicago.
No, actually, that's on my my main channel, Bill Morton Rogers Park. You can find that on YouTube. We have over 3,000 videos, and over all the years. I mean, I started that channel in 2008. So
Before my time.
Yeah, before a lot of time. Back when YouTube was new, I got into it, and I've been doing videos all around the Rogers Park neighborhood on that channel. And eventually I started Bill Morton Chicago. And Bill Morton Chicago has maybe about 1,200 videos as of right now.
That's all.
And it's trailing in the followers. I thought that I thought that the subscribers would go over the Rogers Park one, since the city of Chicago is a bigger area, but no. Rogers Park is holding its own.
Mm-hmm. Well, give us some of the stories. Remember recently you heard those shots fired, right? And then you on Sheridan Road and Estes, and then you.
Oh yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. I was actually over at Sheridan and Jarvis. And I was out there, and I was recording just the happenings of the evening. It was a beautiful evening. It was our first good weather evening. Nice first warm evening. And all of a sudden I hear all these shots being fired, and it wasn't just like it didn't sound like just one. It sounded like they were overlapping. The sounds of the shots were overlapping one another. So I waited, and then I walked over there, and I didn't know where it was. It was actually 5 blocks away. It was so loud, but it was 5 blocks away. And I checked out the police investigation. I did a little video of it, and I checked out the car, and the metal of the car had holes like this, sideways through the roof, through the door of the car, like this. This car was like Swiss cheese, and I saw it like a slug in the windshield. It was like that big. It was just like a glob of metal at that point. But it's really disturbing to see these kinds of issues, not only in our community but citywide. I think that our elected officials need to do something different to solve the problem of this violence in the city.
Yeah, my coworker lives right there. He heard it, and he was so surprised. He said he never expected something like that to happen near where he lived, because it's always so peaceful there.
And I was walking down Sheridan Road. We used to have an office, Chamber of Commerce office, right there next to Leon Beach Park, and the nursing facility, group home, used to be called Lakeshore Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. Now it's called Aperion. So as I was walking south on Sheridan to figure out where this happened, to see what happened, a lot of the residents in Aperion over at Sheridan and Toohey, they were very, very upset. It was very loud. It could have been. It sounded like it could have been like in that gas station right next door, but it was actually a couple blocks south. But it was so very loud, and they were upset. They were out in the patio, and the patio was raised, and
They recognized you, and they were talking with you.
They were. They wanted to know what happened. They were very upset. And so I had to figure out what happened.
And you got a little video of the that one?
Well, I got the video of the investigation, the police investigation and the aftermath, them picking up the shell casings, the bullet holes, the police using their flashlights to find the shiny bullet casings on Estes Avenue between Sheridan and Glenwood Avenue, a side street. And the neighbors were, when I went over there, a lot of the neighbors were just coming home from work or something, and they didn't even know what happened. And the other ones were very disturbed as well. The ones that had to come out of their house afterwards, that were actually there when it actually happened. Shortly after that, there was one. There was a. It's not shots fired because this young man was murdered on Morse Avenue, and they closed down the whole strip there on the Morse Avenue business district. And so I went over there to check on our small business owners and make sure they were okay. But then, and so I recorded that police investigation. They were there for like 5 or 6 hours maybe. And then as soon as the investigation concluded and they went away and I was editing my video, we heard there was another one.
Two more.
Two more? I heard about one more under the Morse Red Line Station. Shots fired. There were two more.
Yes. First there was that one, and then we looked around for it, and then afterwards I saw that there was another one around that area as well. And people are in the neighborhood are very concerned, telling people to stay out of out of Morse Avenue, and that is going to hurt our businesses very much because Morse Avenue is one of the main strips of Rogers Park.
You know, I've been in the neighborhood for over 20 years, well over 20 years, and we've had an internship program, the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce internship program. We've had Northeastern Illinois University, North Park University, Northwestern University, and Loyola University participate in this, as well as the Howard Area Community Center for some youth that needed to get some experience. And one thing I heard from Loyola University in particular is that they advise, they warn, they tell the students, do not go south of Morse Avenue. Do not go north of Morse Avenue. Do not go north of Morse Avenue because then you start getting over towards Howard. And they're warned to stay clear of that area due to the violence.
And that has been ongoing.
It's been ongoing for years. I heard some statistics that this time last year in Rogers Park in the 49th Ward, we have had more shots fired. Was it double?
Almost double.
Was it almost double shots fired than we did last time this year? And it hasn't been as warm. So it's not getting better. You can look at the Howard Station at the Gateway Center, the Howard Bus Terminal. You have a whole bunch of the boys there blocking the what is that? The little entrance to
the tunnel to the train station.
And you can't get through there without lungs full of smoke, and they're blocking the way. Recently, the CTA transit police have been there, but they're not always there. And even if the Chicago police are just down a couple storefronts, these guys are still there. So that I've heard a lot of issues with that. But we need our elected official or elected officials to step up to the plate and do something about public safety, not only in our community, not only in the 49th ward, but the 50 wards in the city of Chicago. So what is our alderperson going to do about it? What is our mayor going to do about it? What are we going to do about this?
And a lot of times they're just moving the problem around, not actually solving the problem. For instance, there was this police community meeting to gauge problems that the residents wanted the police to help solve. So we mentioned that there are people that that disrupt that are under the overpass at the people. It wasn't us that complained about that. It was others that complained about the
viaduct?
people. Yes, people under the Paulina viaduct of the Howard station. Mm-hmm. So the police said they're not there anymore. And then I asked them, so where did they go? Because if they're not there, then if they went somewhere else, then they could come back. They said they don't know. So eventually they came back very, very shortly after.
Yes, and we're not bringing up these points to say they shouldn't have a place to stay, they shouldn't have a place to live. We're bringing up these points because they should have a place to stay. They should have a place to live. And there are instances where there are people, creating issues in our community. There's a lot of shoplifting, especially in several of the locations, and there's a lot of violent crime as well. I'm certain the violent crime in Englewood is not the violent crime in Rogers Park, but it's a regional issue. And we need someone, again, to step up to the plate and do something about this. How many times are we going to hear in the news about all of these different issues? And, we aren't seeing the necessary steps taken to help people and to promote public health and safety in the city of Chicago.
We are trying to reach some officials of the different agencies, and we attend these public meetings, such as for the CTA.
We do. Monthly, there are CTA meetings, board meetings, and I get to, Trudy and I, and then we have some other friends that come along with us, and we get to speak the issues to the board and President Carter. About what's going on with the lines, the red line, in particular usually, and the buses and the shelters, the bus shelters and the bus stops and the CTA properties and the empty storefronts, and it's okay to be a thorn in the side if you're trying to better your community, and that's what we do. I think we do it in a very polite way, but we remind them that, and I promise them. I would always bring up every single time until they fix this. There is no ADA accessibility in Morse Red Line Station or Jarvis Red Line Station. And there was a big renovation about 10 or 12 years ago where they blocked off the street and there was this mound of gravel, and they redid all these things in these two stations, but they didn't make them ADA accessible. Now, if you can't handle ADA accessibility, for example, if you can't handle ADA accessibility in a school, you need to make that a priority. If you can't handle it in a transportation,
it is a priority. It's the law that it's a priority. That was that's the problem. That they did not address the ADA accessibility, even though it was the law.
And you know, we're drilling it down with them, speaking with them on a monthly basis, and speaking with the head of the RPM, speaking with Bill Mooney, the head engineer, chief engineer, and it's going to cost $1 billion. They're saying $1 billion to get these things fixed, and the money has to come from a federal funding. I don't know if state funding can do this one. And there is, I asked them, well, what's the ETA and what is the status on this federal funding? And if you can extend the red line, if you can upgrade the buses, if you can do this, that, and the other thing, then why can you not dedicate some of this funding to the people with disabilities, to the elderly, to the mother with the baby carriage that can't get up those 16 steps? Why can't you dedicate some of that money to the people who are grocery shopping and have to lug their groceries up all those stairs? I think it's the most important thing I can fight for regarding the CTA at those board meetings, and I will, and I'm mentioning it here now.
Yeah, it's very surprising. Now we know that they have to put in the engineering plan and get the funding. So since it was the law, why didn't they do it at Moore Station and Jarvis stations? So why even start the renovation if they did not have the plan? The plan is supposed to be.
It should have been in the plan, but they said they have to have a certain dollar amount in the project to merit going the next step and putting elevators and escalators in. And you know what? They should have done it. They should have done it
That was the
before
priority.
12 years ago. They should have done it when ADA was started. But they should have done it 12 years ago. They should do it now. And it's still not happening.
Speaking of ADA accessibility, we also noticed while we were election judges that all the precincts said that they were not ADA accessible except for one. And then of all those precincts where they're the polling places, we did visit some of them, and we know that those are accessible. So they're really suppressing the people with disabilities vote, making those causing those people to think that the polling place is not accessible, and then discouraging them to vote.
So what Trudy's referring to is there's a sheet that says all of the different polling places, and there's a little star on one of the locations, and it said this location is accessible. And the other ones didn't have the star. They had a little asterisk on it. But we know for a fact that they are accessible. So I guess the argument is that it's voter suppression for people with disabilities.
Otherwise, why would it not update that list? We've seen that list again and again, and now we were able to visit a couple of them and know that they are accessible. And the one that we were at was also accessible, and it was indicated that it was not accessible.
Well, this is our season finale. I want to thank everyone. The YouTube channels I mentioned earlier is Bill Morton Rogers Park and Bill Morton Chicago. You can just look them up. And I just want to thank everyone for hanging in, listening, and meeting all of our guests. And we're happy to serve you.
Thank you so much for joining us on Community Unity Now. With all these issues that we mentioned, we will try to get some experts to talk about this and maybe find some solutions to the problems that we've brought up, because we are about community unity, and all these are issues that impede community unity.
And we need it now.
This is Bill Morton, President of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, and I am Trudy Leong, Administrator of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for joining us on these seasons of Community Unity Now, and we will see you again in July.